Hey folks, thanks for joining us. We are also going to be talking about a very tricky little subject which has got a lot of myths based around it, and in my opinion and from what I have experienced and heard over the last 15 years, it's a myth. The people who experience that obviously are quite distraught about the condition of their dog, but there are reasons why it happens, and we'll go through some of the reasons and what's actually going on with pressure necrosis, and we'll also go through the ways to avoid it so that you'll never have that sort of issue with your dog, and some techniques to check it out. Let's have a chat about pressure necrosis and will a shock collars burn a dog's skin? Now, when people see this, obviously they are in a bit of a state. Their dog is injured, and it is definitely related to the collar they're wearing, but it's a totally avoidable situation, and there's lots of things you can do to make sure it doesn't happen. There's things you can do if you notice it. Now, people who call us, I've mentioned this many times, and they talk about barking dog collars, or having to do a bark collar or a dog training collar or a dog fence collar on their, or put it on their dog. They're not calling us because they think their dog is going to look good in a bark collar. They are concerned for the safety of the dog. They've had complaints, and they need to do something fairly quickly about ensuring that the problems don't persist. Quite often, they've already tried a number of things, including dog training, making sure the dogs can't see the street. Whenever I've had someone call me up and I've talked to a vet about what's actually appearing on the dog's skin, I could hold up pictures of some pretty nasty stuff, which is often what gets bandied around the internet. Hold up a picture of some really nasty stuff where a dog's actually got holes in his dog neck and infections everywhere, but it's actually nothing to do with the collar. If you get your wristwatch and you tighten it up 2 points on your wrist, I guarantee you that if you don't take that off and check it and make sure it's comfortable, over a period of a couple of days, it'll start to get rubbing sores around your wristwatch. That's the same as what happens with any sort of dog collar. They have to wear a collar which has probes on it to give it contact with the skin. So we're solving problems like stopping a dog jumping a fence because they're going to get into danger and get hit by a car. But what happens with these collars, they produce a static pulse. It's not actually got a lot of what you call amperage and going through the body like an electric fence. You touch the fence and then the current goes through the body and out your feet. What happens with this is a localized pins and needle sensation, exactly the same as a TENS machine that a physiotherapist would put on your arm to make the muscle stimulate. Now, when that sort of thing happens, if you're getting a good quality collar, you don't have to have them up very tight, and that in itself avoids the possibility of the sores developing on the skin. I will show you something now. I have a radio dog fence collar here. I can do the same thing. This one is set to a very low level, and what will happen is that will hit the safety cutout feature on the collar. That light in the middle, by the way, is something that I've put there to make sure that you can understand what's going on. This is just a low level static pulse. So this collar here has just shut down. Now that's not going to go off again and for 20 seconds and just a little ping. So if a dog is in one of our radio dog fences and they get confused and they're in the signal, which won't happen if you are training your dog correctly, they know exactly what's going on because you use our flags to do the training, got it? There's no heat coming out of these units. But because we have 3 aerials inside this unit, we can the collar can bob around nice and loosely, which will solve the problem of it not sitting in the right spot and affecting the dog. So no worries about dog fence collars causing irritation if you are checking them regularly. Now, when we have had people contact us, and it does happen, our first question to them is, when was the last time what did you notice? And quite often, like 99.2% of the time, they actually don't notice it until they have a smell around the dog and they wonder what the smell is. What's happening is there's a rubbing sore going on. People are not checking the skin, and when they do check the skin, they find that the collar may even have got a very big sore, and it looks like it's actually dead skin or even burn. But the key is, quite often when, as I mentioned, it's a funny smell around the dog that gives them that indication. So what they have to do then is go down to the vet and get antiseptic and focus on making sure it heals. So what are 5 things you can do to avoid any sort of pressure necrosis or on the dog's skin? The thing to remember is when you fit the collar, make sure you get one that doesn't need to be done up very tight. Whilst the collar is very sensitive, it doesn't need to be done up very tight. Check them every day and every night and take them off for an hour or so, and also move them around to different locations. Now, the other things you can do is do not tie your dog up to the collar, because that might pull the probes into the skin. The only other thing to note that is it could be an allergy to the nickel in the probes. Now, good quality stainless steel will avoid that, and you can, or if it does keep occurring, you can do that. Now, once you have a bacteria on your dog's skin and it's overpopulated because you've had a problem, you might have to look at getting some sort of antiseptic wash to keep the skin hygienic when you're washing your dog. And also, you can clean the collars. You can take the probes and straps apart, and you can clean them and make sure they're not causing any irritation. If you want more information about bark collars, radio dog fences, and remote dog training collars and how they're used, then give us a call. We can go through some quality products that will help you avoid any of these nasty sort of incidences that occur with dogs. Thanks for tuning in. See you soon. Bye.